Hey Battlefield YouTube community, today I'm going to do a review of the PKP, which is easily my favorite heavy LMG. And what I mean by heavy LMG, there's basically two classifications as far as I'm concerned. Some of these guns do less damage than others, and this is one of the heavy hitters. Although it's not heavy enough to take out heavy armor. But against infantry, you're going to do some heavy damage here. You're going to do 34 maximum and 25 minimum, which means you can two-shot somebody at this at close range. One shot to the head could do 68 damage, and one more shot you could definitely drop them. And that means this thing's very strong if you get at least one hit marker on the head. And say if you're bipoded a mile away, you can still drop a guy in as little as 3 hits if one hit marker is in the head again. And 4 normally, which is pretty strong, especially since that bipod is extremely accurate at range. And when you're not using that bipod, the fire rate being a little bit lower than many other weapons at 600 rounds per minute definitely lets you have some fairly accurate shots at range. And its recoil is 0.55 up, 0.4 right and left, and a fairly light 0.65 first shot multiplier. So you're not going to have that, giant kick there at the beginning. But your recoil is going to tend to pull it up just a little bit, and a little bit of left to right bounce, but it's going to be fairly even at that. And worst comes to worst, you have quite a few rounds to spray down range. It comes with a 100 round box magazine. You can't change it, but 100 rounds is more than enough to take out multiple different people without having to reload. But when you do have to reload, it's a bit slow, but it's not the slowest of all the heavy LMGs. It's 5.5 seconds empty, and if you have any left at all. And you definitely want a good backup pistol to back this thing up when you do have to do those reloads, because they are fairly long, and it's fairly easy mid-reload, switch out, then have to start that reload animation all over again. So I'd have to suggest a secondary with a very fast reload, or a heavy hitting like the shotgun for instance. But once reloaded, you can't help but feel badass with this thing. It's a very mean weapon, and its time to kill is also very low, sitting at 204 milliseconds, which is quite quick especially for a big heavy weapon like this. And now that I got all that statistical jargon out of the way, what do I think about this, and why am I not using something like, say, like the 240 Bravo, which is very like this gun, except a few key differences. The 240B does shoot faster, and that also means you have a lower time to kill, which is very nice. But it also has a little bit more recoil, and I just in general don't like it as much as this gun. I like having that little bit better recoil on it, and this lower fire rate means I can really hit people at range. Now, as every support player knows, ever since Naval Strike, one of the default guns to go to is an AWS. It is a kick-ass weapon. It's very good, but at the same time, it's not a heavy hitter. That one only does 25 damage versus 34, and doesn't carry its damage at over range as well as this weapon does. And that does make a big difference to me. And I could go either way, which is the best support weapon. I mean, the AWS probably still is, just because it's basically an assault rifle that you can use while being a support, with the bonus of having a large capacity magazine, which is very nice, and all those support gadgets. Oh my god, that's the best reason to be support, other than no one throwing ammo down on your team, which, I mean, come on, everybody's had that problem many times. Now, as far as my setup I typically would use on this weapon, first of all, sights, whatever you like. I happen to like the holo sight quite a bit on my heavy LMGs. I'm not sure why. I just like it for the accuracy at range, especially if I decide to go bipod, which I am in this video. The bipod is amazing at range. If I wasn't using the bipod, I would definitely change it to something like the stubby grip, because you don't need the everything else. So hip fire, I know I hip fire quite a bit, and even quite a bit in this video, but it's not necessary for most people. And the stubby grip helps at automatic fire, which, I tend to hold the trigger down with this thing. And as far as the barrel's concerned, muzzle brake, it does have a little bit more upwards pull, so that does help you there a little bit. The rest of them, I hate throwing a suppressor on a weapon like this. I love hearing that chug, 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 chug. And I also laser. I always put a laser on everything, just because I do hip fire quite a bit. But other than that, that's how I normally would run this weapon. I love it. I love this in Battlefield 3. I don't use it nearly enough in Battlefield 4, and I really need to get back into it. I just love this weapon. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate you hitting that like button, and also please share and hit that subscribe button as well. And here on the left I got a first look at the Dragon's Teeth weapons, and on the right I have UMP 45 review, another heavy hitting gun. And thanks everybody for all the support you have given me, it does mean a lot to me.